Hey, good morning everyone. It's Transformation Tuesday and today I'm going to be talking about Kerry, and Kerry is a 35-year-old female who's super tired, had massive abdominal pains, massive bloating, and really embarrassing stinky farts. Hi, I'm Ange Sinclair from The Digestive Detective. If you haven't heard of me before, I do these every Tuesday. I come on and I talk about a previous client. All names have been changed to protect the innocent. But it gives you a really good idea of some things that you can do, maybe at home for your diet or before you seek help. So when I first saw Kerry, she had been traveling around the country on an extended holiday. So while she was away, she picked up a gut bug or food poisoning. She was unsure. And so what this resulted in was her going to the bathroom 8 or 9 times a day, which is pretty awful when you're on holidays. So she found herself at the doctor's and was given a course of antibiotics, which helped her fantastically at the outset. So especially with the diarrhea, it reduced significantly down to 1 or 2 times a day. But what happened then is that she got very, very bloated and extreme bloating. So she would physically have to change her pants. If you have some other immune thing happening, if your diet's not really good, if your stress level's super high, I can often see a shift in those people in their digestive health pretty quickly if they've got blasto. In 2009 there was a super epidemic of blasto in Sydney. So there's a lot of people walking around that don't even know they have blastocystis hominis. So she was also diagnosed with iron deficiency as well, which is not uncommon when somebody has a gut infection. And I see this often as well in vegetarians and women who have heavy periods. And for Kerry, she had both of those things. So she's sort of up against it before she actually started. So the doctor had asked Kerry to go low FODMAP, which she had done. So low FODMAP means low fructose. So FODMAP is fructans, oligosaccharides, disaccharides, and monosaccharides, and polyols. And these are just constituents of food, and some people react to those. And if you take them out for a period of time, let your gut heal a little bit, you can reintroduce them. So she'd done those. She found that it would really super help with her gas. Not so much with the bloating, but her gas level was low, which made her bloating feel a little bit better. So as I mentioned, Kerry was a vegetarian, so she found it pretty difficult to go without beans, lentils and rice. So I suggested that Kerry do a test for SIBO. So SIBO is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, just to all the things she had going on. So in my mind, Kerry was likely to have had initially post-infectious IBS from her food poisoning, gastrobug, whatever. And then it has gone on to become small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or SIBO. So, and what triggers me to this is she had some joint issues in her hand. In one of her fingers, she had some weird joint issue going on. And that's likely due to the inflammation. And this is also a really big symptom of SIBO. So if you've just out of the blue got some joint symptoms going on, look at small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Could be something there. So her energy levels also were really low, so 1 to 2 out of 10. and which could possibly be from the iron. Well, it would be from the iron, but it would also be from the SIBO as well. So she was, like I said, she owned her own business. So it really relied on her to be up and out and getting motivated and things like that. And this simply wasn't happening for her. She was dragging a bum out of bed every day. And she also loved to exercise, and she felt like she couldn't do that because her fatigue level was so high. And the last thing she said was her menstrual cycle had gotten very erratic as well, so heavy periods. So you can see she's got heavy period, vegetarian, plus she's got a gut infection. Her iron levels through the floor basically. So I could tell from Kerry's state that this wasn't going to be a quick fix. So these results that she has got here has come over the course of 8 months. So as I always do, I sent Kerry off with a food, mood and poo journal so we could see what she was actually eating. She'd already cut out gluten and dairy and FODMAPs to see if that would make a difference. They had all made enough difference, but not enough to keep her in the same size pants all day. And that was one of her biggest problems. If she had to go out with a client of a night time, she would have to take pants with her to work to change into. So when we received the test results back, we noticed that Kerry had methane-dominant small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which just means she's got bacterial overgrowth in her small intestines that's causing her bloating and pain. Fortunately for Kerry, she ate eggs, so we got her through on that to start with. And I'm not a big proponent of keeping people on a restrictive diet for a really long time because I think this is problematic to your colon. It might fix your small intestines, but then in your colon it kills all your bacteria like antibiotics does. So with Kerry, one of the things we also did was support her digestive capacity with digestive enzymes. You know, if you've got a compromised digestive system, you'll struggle to break down foods. Reintroducing foods back in, and I do this by recommending you do one thing in your diet every 3 days. So you might still react to garlic and onion, and that's okay. Just leave it out for the time being, do some more gut healing and then retry again. The other product that I used for Kerry was a fantastic probiotic that's for vaginal health. And it can be taken both orally and inserted vaginally for a few days. Within 10 days, her thrush had completely cleared. So she'd had thrush for about a month before she came to see me, and then a couple of weeks after that. So it had been quite significant. She'd done nystatin a couple of times with the doctor, and nothing had cleared it. And the probiotics did the trick. So with the SIBO, I generally have a 60-day plan broken down into 10-day cycles. Generally a healing cycle and a killing cycle. And I often hear people talk about being on a restricted SIBO diet and doing nothing else. The SIBO won't clear unless you have some antimicrobial intervention at the same time as the diet. The diet just reduces the numbers. It doesn't actually kill it. With Kerry, I wanted her to eat a really broad diversity of colors and foods that she was able to during this diet, because again, restriction is not something that I encourage. to, because I wanted her to give the bacteria that she had, that she wanted to, propagate and expand on, to give them the best fuel supply she could have. And that needs to be done through different foods and lots of different diversity and stuff like that. On her next visit, we found that her bowel had changed essentially from rabbit poos to a much better form and shape than they'd had before. So she hadn't had any reflux at all during this period, and her periods had changed slightly from being heavy and unmanageable to a more of a moderate flow, but a lot easier to deal with. Her exercise capacity had increased no end. She was riding her bike every day. Her bloating had significantly decreased. And when I hear that from people, I start reintroducing new foods quickly, especially for her because her diet was so restrictive. So with her, we went rice and lentils straight away. To do this, you just need to do one at a time every 3 days, and that way you know what you're going to react to. Don't do what I had a client do once. She'd been on a restrictive diet for 4 weeks. I got her to do 3, and she thought she felt so good she'd do an extra week. And then on the last day, when she was to reintroduce foods one at a time, she went out and had a cheese and tomato pizza, and reacted significantly to that. So there's gluten, dairy, nightshades, all in one go. So we had no clue what she reacted to at the end of the day. So she had to do a couple of more weeks just so we could get back to the baseline. So don't do that. Just introduce one new food at a time. At the 5-month mark, Kerry's sleep had improved because that had been, not a big issue for her, but it was contributing to her stress. Her bowel movements were now happening every day. Her energy levels had gone from a 1 out of 2 at the start to a 9 out of 10. She was still introducing foods, and all that was going really well for her. Her bloating had all but disappeared. She was down to 1 pair of pants a day. Although she did notice that if she had more than one alcoholic drink, and she loves champagne, that she would get bloat issues. Her period was still pretty unstable. And I think you'll find as we go through, her period was the thing that took the most time to get back on track. So we can continue to reintroduce lots of new foods for Kerry over this period of time. The rule is, again, 1 every 3 days, so there's no reaction. She was now back eating rice, lentils, and a few beans. But some of the beans were still really problematic. We were having a lot of problems getting some of them back in. But when investigating what was stopping her from being able to eat these beans, we talked about how much it makes everything harder to do, makes you have a lot less patience, and you are worth it enough to give yourself the time you need to get better without feeling guilty about it. And I think often we get caught up in that and we don't give ourselves the grace to do that. We don't need to keep soldiering on, and that's the mentality that we all have been brought up with. So don't soldier on, take the time out you need. So around the 8th month mark, most of Kerry's issues had been fully resolved. There were still some foods that she couldn't bring back into a diet, but however, she continued to go on and do gut healing supplements at this time, and I'm confident in time that she would have been able to bring the last few things back in. And surprisingly, it was a bean, and I think it was a red kidney bean that was the real problem for her. So how about you? Do you have any digestive issues that you'd like to get started on before 2020? open right up to Christmas Eve, and then back in the office from the 30th December. So there's still time before the new year to start getting fixed on your gut health. So you can book in for a free 15-minute if you have any questions you want answered, and you can do this by heading to my page www.digestivedetective.com.au, and you can book in from the page. I'd love to have a chat to you before Christmas, even if it's a free 15 minutes, so I can get you started on some things to do for your gut health. And I look forward to talking to you soon. See you next Tuesday for the last one before Christmas. I'll see you then. Bye. Have a great day.